Well, well, well. Good evening and happy Wednesday. This is finishing day 4 at my new school as a chemistry teacher. And again, the whole purpose of making these daily videos is just to reflect on each day as a teacher, a new high school teacher, reflecting on things that I've learned, things that I'm going through, things that I'm experiencing, and just kind of a visual journal for myself and my family to catalog how it's going. Today, at our training, we're getting ready for students to come into campus and rejoin us for the upcoming school year. I'll be teaching sophomores and juniors. And today we got together as a team. We talked about rubrics, we talked about syllabi, we talked about classroom management, things that are going to be expectations across the board for us as a team and expectations as a school level that we're going to enforce throughout the school to make sure that it's a safe environment and it's going to be the best learning environment possible for the kids. Now, I do have a video to play instead of games tonight. I do have to go to bed shortly because tomorrow we have our open house. However, I did want to share this experiment with you guys. You probably have not seen this before, and if you have, then cool. Hopefully I can explain it a little bit more so you can understand why it's happening and what it is. Today, the team went through and we performed this experiment together just to make sure, hey, this is how it's supposed to go down. When you do this experiment, you're going to do it on this day. This is what we're going to say. This is what we're going to talk about. And that way, students, regardless of whose class they're in, they're going to have very similar experiences. That way, we avoid students saying, oh, how come this is happening in so-and-so's class? Oh, I want to be in that class, because that way we give the most shared experience to all the kids. And this experiment is the one that we did today. We also did 2 other experiments in class today. However, those ones I'm going to save for later because one of them is only for the AAP class, so I'll be teaching general education, and the other one we'll save for another time. But this is just a quick clip of someone else doing this experiment and recording it, and I'm just going to explain what's happening as it happens, and it happens very, very quickly. The video's in slow motion, so it'll be a little bit easier to explain, but basically your ingredients are I mean supplies slash items you might need is a 5-gallon plastic jug or water bottle featured here. You also need ethanol. You can also use isopropyl alcohol, which works similarly, but we found that the ethanol produced a larger reaction, so of course we're going to go for larger bang for our buck. So this is with ethanol, and you're also going to need a heat source, so either a match or a lighter. We used a lighter and it worked just fine. One of the long ones, not one of the short ones. I'll go ahead and I'll press play, let you watch it for a second, then I'll replay it and I'll explain what's going on. There's no audio, that's okay. If you need, I'll link the video in the description so you can watch it for yourself too, so you can actually hear it. It's called the Whoosh bottle experiment, and you'll hear why if you watch the video. So there's a clip. It happens very, very quickly. Now, in real time, this whole thing takes about 3 to 4 seconds, depending on how much fuel you add. We only added about 25 milliliters, and then any residual we actually emptied out, and we took anything else out that was liquid. And basically what you're seeing here is, I'll play step by step and kind of explain what's going on. That way you can better understand, because I think the coolest thing about these experiments and seeing what's going on, and the great thing about chemistry, is being able to perform an experiment, see something happen that you might see, my cat's climbing all over me, might see in a day-to-day opportunity, but you don't know what's going on. So just a better way to explain it and understand it. Man, I got like the weird hiccup burps. So right here, they have the ethanol already inside of the 5-gallon jug. You really only need a little bit of ethanol. They pour that in, And what they do is you can cap it or you can uncap it. We capped our 5-gallon jug, and you coat the entire inside of the bottle by rolling it so the liquid coats all surfaces, or as much as possible, inside of the 5-gallon jug. While you're doing that, the liquid is actually going to turn into vapor as it starts to combine with the oxygen that's inside of the 5-gallon jug. So you're actually going to have less liquid inside as you turn it, and it starts to turn to vapor. Then here you'll see the introduction of the heat source. At the very, very top there, you'll see that flame. So I can't tell exactly what they're using. It looks like it should be a long lighter of some sort. But what they're doing is they have a heat source at the very top of the lid. Now, what's going to happen here that you see with the flame, which happens all throughout the inside of the bottle, and then it shoots out the top. What you're not seeing is the flame actually comes out probably about 1.5 to 2 feet outside of the top of the bottle. It's really, really cool, and it makes somewhat of a small jet engine sound where it goes whoosh. And funny with where's the dog? Oh, you can't see him. He's asleep on the floor next to me. He was in the classroom, and I knew this was the first time he'd be seeing this experiment. As soon as it happened, he's like freaked out. I had him in a sit command, and he left it immediately, and I had to re-engage, make sure he was reminded that, hey, you're good, totally fine, just take a seat, dude. And he sat back down and was like freaking out because he has a big sound out of nowhere for a dog. But, it was a really cool experience. So they introduce this heat source at the top of the bottle, and as this heat source is introduced, what you're going to see is an exothermic reaction, or what it is a release of thermal energy as this experiment happens. And whenever you see something like heat, or you can't see heat, but you can feel heat, and you see light or some kind of light source pop up, that's going to be a release of energy. Obviously, we have the law of conservation of mass and energy. Those are two separate laws, but you can call them both together because energy and mass cannot be created or destroyed. That means all of mass and energy is going to be shared. That's why Einstein's formula, the E equals mc squared, was proof that, mass is actually equal to and is a different form of energy. So they have the heat source at the top of the bottle here. As they lower it close to the bottle, you'll see kind of the start of the reaction there. It's kind of hard to see. Right there. You can kind of see at the top of, I'm looking on the other side so I can make sure people can see it, but there's a blue ring that's starting to form at the top of the bottle. Now, right there, what's happening is these bonds that are between molecules are being broken down very quickly as soon as that heat source is introduced. Now, as those bonds are being broken, there is going to be a release of energy because what's happening is those molecules are expanding. And when you think of expanding molecules, normally in your brain you think of like a balloon being blown up, but what's actually happening is the molecules are not getting bigger, but rather they're just spreading out very quickly. And that spread of molecules at the rate that they're going is actually causing that flame and release of molecules to be shot up out the top of the bottle, which is what you see as the experiment continues. So I'll continue playing it. You see the flame reach down the bottom of the bottle. You see that energy being released. All of that is extra energy that is no longer needed by the bonds between molecules left inside the bottle. So as the experiment ends, you'll see the bottle is finished. I'll rewind just a little bit. It's so funny saying rewind because, I'll pause it right there, because we don't really rewind anymore. We don't have VHS tapes. Now it's all digital. But you have that reaction going on. The bonds are being broken down very quickly with that flame, and the energy is being released out the top of the bottle. And that's what you're seeing. Now, what's left behind are these even stronger bonds between the molecules. And that is basically the balancing of these molecules. And that's what we're going to do this year in chemistry with stoichiometry, is just doing math by balancing these different equations, elements, and their molecules. And this is the visual of those molecules being balanced in an equation. But this is something that we did today. It's really cool and really exciting. And we talked about as a team trying to freak the kids out a little bit and be like, whoa, I've never done this before, so I really hope it works, and try and hype it up. Let the kids take their phones out, take a slow-mo video, because this is pretty cool seeing it in person, and it is very loud. This is something you could do just out in the front of your house on the driveway or in the backyard. It's very safe to do as long as you have some kind of supervision and know kind of what you're doing and replicating. I would advise do not do this with a glass bottle. However, we did talk about today as a team. There was one of the videos that our team members had seen was someone else had a glass bottle, did the same experiment, and the pressure actually caused the glass to break and explode. And that can be extremely dangerous. So please, 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 if you ever do this, use plastic. Use the plastic bottles. And it's really cool when you use this blue large water jug. But that is what we did today. We explored exothermic reactions. And this will be the intro to chemistry. Day 1, we're doing this with our kids on the very first day of school. So this is going to be something very cool for the kids to experience, and I'm very excited about it. That was just a snippet of our day, but part of being a science teacher, you do really, really cool stuff. And that's part of your job. So this is part of my day. It was really fun. After we finished all the stuff with school, we went back home. I took a quick nap because I stayed up late last night, and then we went over with some of our friends and had dinner with them and got to hang out with their kids, play some games a little bit. Got back home and wanted to make sure I took this video to recap today because, man, today was really cool. Tomorrow we have our open house, so tomorrow's video will be kind of recapping meeting a lot of my students for the first time and also meeting parents and seeing how that goes. So tomorrow we should have some updates on some of my students, and they'll get to meet Samson for the first time. It'll be very, very cool. So I'm excited. So more updates to come, but hope you enjoyed the video. And again, if you wanted to check out this video, I'll put a link in the description at the bottom so you can see it for yourself. And the video is quick. It's 40 seconds long, so please go and check it out. It is really, really cool. My friends, as always, I know it was fast. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, rest of your day, and stay weird.